The way things have been going for the Guardians, something had to change. No, they didn't win a game. No, they didn't score runs. Instead, they're dealing with an investigation on top of the mess they're already in.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into a Friday, July 4th episode of Locked On Guardians. Hope you're all being safe and with your friends and family, and you're all giving each other a big warm hug because the hits keep coming, not the good kind. This is Locked On Guardians, where we talk about your Cleveland Guardians every day as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, from the majors to the minors to the draft, everything in between. We're the only place you can hear all of those things 5 days a week. I am Justin Lada. I have been watching Cleveland Guardians baseball my entire life. I have been writing prospect, scouting reports, and analysis on the minor league system since 2007, and very few years like this in my time, but I am glad to be here
There's
talking
been a
Guardians.
ton. What do you mean? The early 2000s. I mean, before Tito, in between. There's been a lot.
I wasn't covering the farm system until 2007. So since then,
I mean,
it hasn't
2007 through 2013 were pretty dark times. Like you had 4 or 5 of those years there, honestly.
That's true. All right.
I mean, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2023.
Worse, right.
We've seen. I just wandered in off the street. I've never talked about baseball and have no connections to it. I'm Jeff Ellis. I've been here for almost 1,500 episodes. Before this, I was a lead draft and prospect analyst at Scout in 24/7, who's been writing about the minors as well since 2007, who has been a fan since, Corey Schneider is the first. I remember me and my friends talking about him, one of their biggest draft flops ever, honestly, for a high pick. But I've seen a lot of bad seasons. That's why I get really annoyed. Everyone's like, this is the worst season ever. It's like, okay, you have no perspective. Thank you for letting me know that. I do want to thank you.
Everyone's just frustrated. And
it's frustrating. I get it. But it's just like, I don't know, but everyone's yelling at you all the time. You just get tired of it. I do want to thank all of our everydayers who join us, rain, win, or overtime, extra inning losses, as well as saying, I want to say thank you to everyone for making today's episode your first listen today and every day, wherever it is that you get podcasts.
On today's show, we'll talk about how we want the Guardians to finish 2025 out, because obviously this season is just cursed and is not going anywhere at this point. We'll talk about Joey Cantillo's performance, the offense's performance, the pitching performance from the finale in Chicago, and we'll, of course, start off today with the big news. No big deal. The Guardians still didn't score a run.
Then I'm going to do 35 videos for the network on draft prospects. That's the big news, right?
Yeah. If you're a betting man, that would be big news. But we can bet here and not ruin our lives, actually, for the most part. Before we do get into that today, I want to let
hypocrisy of Major League Baseball, brought to you by 3 different sports books.
Yeah, well, today, brought to you by Game Time here at Locked On Guardians. You can create your account and use our code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase at Game Time to go to a game. You can't do it. Well, maybe you can do it for Friday's game, which is sold out in Cleveland against Detroit. You can see the Guardians' funeral this weekend. The Detroit will probably put them to bed over the weekend. So you can buy tickets to that at the last minute for a good price. I imagine you'll see a lot of good price Guardians tickets.
They've been so inconsistent this year. I somehow expect them to win 2 out of 3 this weekend. Just because it's like every time we were like, before the 7-game losing streak, they had won the last 2 series and had already split that series. And we're talking, they could win 3 series in a row, 7-game loss. But before that, they had lost to Seattle and who else? Like they had I don't know. This team is just up and down and up. I don't even know what to expect.
Yeah. I don't expect Chase Slaughter to be up this weekend. He just played his 3rd game in a row on Thursday for the 4th time this season. We're still waiting to see if he's going to play a 4th time. So I don't think he's going to be up playing that 4th game in a row for the first time all year in Cleveland. I very much doubt that.
Yeah,
so in which case, I won't be up until after the All-Star break.
Yeah, I probably won't be up to after the All-Star break.
We'll get to that in segment 3. But man, I don't want to speculate too much because we don't know all the details and there's an investigation going on. So I'm not going to sit here and I don't want to sit here and act like we know everything, but the optics of what we've seen right now for Luis Ortiz is not good. And also just, my God, like this one hit me a lot today. Not because Ortiz has been great this year. He's been good in flashes. But this one hit me today because I was just so disappointed because this is a guy you acquired in the offseason I was really excited about. I think you were excited about as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he's shown flashes. He's young. They have a lot of time ahead with him. I thought there was a lot of development going on with him. And he's at least, I mean, if this comes back that he is guilty of something, there's no chance he plays again until next year. And if it's even worse than that, he's done playing baseball. And for that to be one of the guys you went out this offseason and targeted and got in a trade, and you're possibly not going to have him ever again to pitch if this goes the worst way. I mean, just devastating. Like, I had a pit in my stomach all day. I was just so annoyed at this. Like, the season's been annoying and it is, and to have this news on top of it was just like such a bummer.
I think it's going to be hard to prove. It's very clearly the released info came from the MLB side of things because it is very much the one-sided view of what we've seen. You know, it is the, hey, here are these. And if I'm playing devil's advocate, let's also point out that what did we talk about yesterday? This is the team with the third worst walk rate amongst starting pitchers in all of baseball. And Luis Ortiz, we get more complaints about him being wild and out of the zone than any other pitcher. Now, do they look great? No, I'm going to be very honest. Again, I'm playing devil's advocate here. But it's going to be a case where it's going to be, unless they have hard data, which right now seems to be, hey, it got flagged because these two look ugly and there's big betting numbers.
It's because they got big betting numbers. It's also one of those prop bets that don't often get big numbers. Like, there's not a lot of people who normally are placing big amount of bets and winning on those first pitch of an inning prop bets. Like, those usually don't spike like that. So
no,
that's
I know. But can you
is.
prove it? Is I guess what it comes down to before we get worried about. It's like
it's an anomaly for sure. Like,
it's an anomaly, but I don't think the sports books are going to tell them who bet. You know, they're not going to turn over their records.
If they force the government or the courts to force them, they can.
They can, but it's going to take a while to get there. And this is only a suspension through the All-Star break.
Oh, it's not even a suspension, which is even weirder. Like, they're calling it
paid leave.
It's non-disciplinary paid leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and as far as we know, the end of the All-Star break is where they should get some clarity. So he's out for at least the next 2 weeks. But we don't know anything beyond that. Like, I think it could be hard to prove, but there's a chance that this extends. Like, they might get to the end of the All-Star break and say, we're still investigating. And they might just say, like, the Players Association also agreed to have him on this list too.
To this point, they gave a hard end in their negotiations. I don't think the Players Association would roll over and be like, okay, yeah, you don't have enough. Let's keep pushing. They're not going to bend. They know they've got hard battles coming up. Everything is a battle with them right now. And
or they do know they have hard battles getting up, and this is not one of the fights they want to pick, and they just say, do your investigation. Because let's be clear. Let's be clear about the.
They're not going to let a guy get suspended without proven fact. That's just not how they operate.
No, Major League Baseball Players Association has shown over the last decade that they will protect the big names. They will protect the big stars.
They don't allow random suspensions, though. That's been one of their big points with other guys, though. Even smaller guys in the minor, since they've had in the minors, they've fought. They have fought for these little things.
If this was a bigger name, I think I would agree with you. But
yeah,
Major League Baseball and how they've negotiated with the Players Association, how they've negotiated with the league, they have only protected the interests of the top 1%. Gee, microcosm for life. They don't do it for guys like Luis Ortiz. So
they also don't roll over, though. They can't be seen as rolling over when they have so much negativity coming their way from everywhere.
I don't know if this is a fight they want to pick. Like,
if there's enough data, they're not going to just sit on it.
This is clear too, though. Like, gambling is bad.
Yeah,
it's now they could come back and use the hypocrisy and say, like, well, look, you guys have every game, every tweet, every whatever sponsored by
the FanDuel Sports Network.
Yeah, seriously, like, that's such a hypocrisy.
I mean, gambling sponsors us. Let's be very honest. You know, it's a thing. It sponsors all of sports. It's all over.
Yeah, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You and I gambling doesn't get us in trouble. It's very clear in Spanish and in English in the clubhouses. This is what you can and cannot do. Now, if Luis Ortiz had bet like on Pirates Cubs, he'd be suspended for a year, but he wouldn't be banned. If it turns out that he was in on throwing a first pitch ball he knew about it and he was doing it, he's banned for life because he's betting on his own performance and his own team.
Yeah.
That's what they suspended. I mean, Tucupita Maricano last year didn't even play in the games that he bet on for the Padres, but he bet on the Padres while he was in the Padres organization. Yeah. He is gone for life.
Yep. I mean, it's a risk.
They're going to take a hard stance. They're going to push for a lifetime suspension
if they can prove it. Yeah.
If they can prove it, yeah. All right, we'll talk more about the absence of Luis Ortiz. We'll talk about Joey Cantillo, the pitching staff, the offense, and we'll talk about how we want the Guardians to finish the season out on the rest of today's Locked On Guardians. Stay tuned. Well, we just talked about it. Friday's game is sold out on July 4th in Cleveland. If you want to go, it's going to be a packed house. There might not be a whole lot of packed house games from here on out. Maybe the debut of Chase the Lauder. But, we've all been there trying to get tickets like that. We've all been on logged on early to get concert tickets. My God, I can tell you that's been a disaster lately. Live music is one of those things, or any live concert, any live show. You don't want to worry about how you're going to get your tickets. You just want to go. Game Time is what makes that possible for you. You can get all tickets, concert tickets, easier than ever. It is concert season. It's outdoor concert season in Cleveland. Prices drop closer to these events, the closer you get to showtime. So you could probably save up to 60% with last-minute killer deals from Game Time. You don't have to be in early to get those tickets. You can get better prices, no hidden fees if you turn on the all-in pricing so you don't get to your checkout and you say, I thought I was buying a ticket for $70. Now it's $190. No, Game Time will tell you up front if it's $190. So you continue to make better decisions about whether you want to go and where you want to sit. Take all of that guesswork out of buying concert, show tickets, sports tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use our code LOCKEDONMLB. You're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but create the account, redeem our code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices. That is a guarantee. Guarantee you can get good prices. Guarantee you won't get kicked out of the venue if you do something illegal. I have very few. I don't know. Like I said, there's an ongoing investigation, so I can't sit here and say we have all the answers because we don't. But
we don't. It's a complete unknown.
It is a complete unknown. You never know.
But at the same time, it's like
it's just wild how vague that was. By the way, it was just so vague.
It was so vague, and they have to protect the shield, as it were, and they have to protect the sport. But just always the funny thing, I've heard the really gruesome, scary details of the things Chapman has done, and he is still in this league, bouncing around, and
you can shoot a gun and
at a pregnant woman,
or you can commit assault on your wife and still play baseball, Marcell Ozuna.
Yeah,
but heaven forbid you place a bet on.
The sad thing is, weirdly, we have seen progress. I could go into horror stories I won't even go into from the 90s and 80s of players who had grand returns after prison stays for things. And it's slowly getting better, and that's all you can ask for. But the problem always is going to be right now. I mean, gambling's. I don't gamble. I'll be very upfront and honest. I don't. I've seen the horrific effects of it with family members, and that's kept me away from it. And it's it's one of those things that it's going to we're going to see more of this. Unfortunately, if it's true, then I think he should be suspended for life because he hurt his team. Throwing a ball intentionally hurts your team. I got no pity for that. He should be done.
No, I agree. And it is wild, though, the fact that this guy, I don't know if he knows where the ball is going half the time.
No.
So it's just, that's why I think it'll be hard to prove. But at the same time, that first pitch against the Mariners doesn't look that bad. It's the second pitch against the Cardinals that I was like, okay, that's not great.
Yeah. It looks like, and the dumbest thing with all of it, honestly, it's like he's finally a starter. He's getting close to arbitration. He's going to start making real money. You're not making as much on a micro bet to risk your livelihood. That's just wild. That's dumb.
Wild. If that's true, that's really the worst thing.
He's then he probably wouldn't have been very good long term anyways, because then he's just an idiot. And you have to be smart to play baseball anymore. You just, no matter what you think about baseball players, there's so much you have to adjust and learn, and tendency cards. You got to be smart to play baseball. You at least have to have some degree of it.
And this team I'd be curious to see how they're. Obviously they lost again. They didn't hit, and the pitching staff was good. They played a good game. They just didn't hit, and they also made some stupid base running mistakes in this game. I'm just more curious about how they're going to handle this distraction or this news. Antonetti. I know people were saying, well, Antonetti and Chernoff won on the road with them. Well, they were planning, supposedly they were already planning to be on this trip anyway. And I think that's true because they had a lot of guys flying on this trip. It was a family trip. So like everybody was taking their wives and kids, and even Paul Sewald, who was on a rehab assignment the other night, he took the trip to Wrigley Field and then went back to Columbus to pitch or wherever they are. So I think everybody was on this trip to Wrigley Field. So I don't necessarily know that there's anything odd about him being on this trip or turn off or whatever, but good time because, you know, he needed to address the team with what's going on. I don't know how they're going to handle this. Like, you know, everyone's mad at Stephen Vogt. I'm not sitting here saying Stephen Vogt is having a great year managerial. Like, we've seen way too much David Festa. We've seen too much David Fry.
Matt Festa. David Festa's Twins guy.
I keep wanting it to be David Festa. I'm combining them, David Fry and Matt Festa. I'm just trying to save time, okay? I'm not trying to trade for the Twins. I guess I would be, but okay. So we've seen too much Matt Festa. We've seen too much David Fry. There's been some strange decisions overall. And again, I keep going back to the argument that we give managers and coaches too much credit and too much blame when things go good or bad.
With as good as the bullpen was, he got to play on story mode if you're a video gamer, easy mode. When you have the bullpen,
it was easy for the bullpen.
Yeah.
Get your starter 5 innings.
Yeah.
Bring in Cade Smith. Bring in Hunter Gaddis. Bring in Tim Herron. Bring in Clase. Boom. Yeah. Game over. We win.
It was simple. Last year was simple. He got to be a rookie on easy mode. This year it's been tough. I mean, there's no way around it, and there hasn't been good answers.
And this is an unprecedented situation. He's never been around this kind of thing before. So like, I'm not sitting here saying like, well, Stephen Vogt's free of blame. No, this is his fault. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
Well, you got to be a vote apologist all the time. Just such a vote apologist.
Yeah, and someone's going to say you guys are being too positive and too negative, and it's hard to listen to. I'm just giving you my honest opinion.
Every day someone tells us we're too positive and we're hard to listen to, and we're too negative and hard to listen to.
I know. So we're somewhere in the middle.
I feel like we're doing it right because we're hearing it from both sides.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not saying Vogt's perfect, but I'm also saying, like, it's his second year managing. And like you said, he had, I don't want to say he had it easy last year, but things really worked out. All the buttons he pushed worked. Sometimes when players don't perform, they say, well, the manager didn't do a good job. Well, the player didn't perform. If he does great, then you're saying, well, the player did great. That's what I'm saying. We give managers and coaches too much credit when things go well and too much blame when things go bad. A lot of times it's on players, and there's a preparation aspect to it. But like Stephen Vogt didn't build this roster. I'm sure he gave opinions to Chris Antonio.
He had a hand in it. He
didn't build this roster.
He had a hand in it.
They're all culpable. I mean, it's not just Vogt. And I know there's some people who are like, I don't know, we're going to have the conversation, I think, over the next week or so about the coaching, front office, and
can we just say already that the team has been sold? It's not just one owner who's currently not investing money in it. Because we get so many comments on that. Guys, this team has already been sold. There's already a deal in place for it to be sold. It's not.
I mean, they gave up a percentage of the team, and there is a timeline for it to be transferred. But if anything, it should be getting better now and not in the future. We'll talk about that next week. So come back for that. Joey Cantillo, though, give him credit. He came up less than 24 hours notice, pitched a great game. A couple walks towards the end. He's not fully stretched out. One of the best starts I think he's had in the last 2 years. And then all the relievers came in and did a great job. That if you want any kind of silver lining from this game, it's that Cade Smith came back and looked good.
Yeah, I don't blame Clase at all for
he didn't give the hit. He didn't give the hit. What are you going to do?
Everyone pitched well.
No, and Clase is not the guy you want in extra innings.
You just didn't have anyone.
And that was, we would have been going to Matt Festa if you didn't use Clase for the second inning, or you would have been going to Tim Herron.
Nikhazy or Herron.
You could have gone to Nikhazy, which we'll talk about that in the next segment too. Yeah, you could have gone those directions. You probably would have lost anyway. I mean, Clase going 2 innings, not ideal anyway, but you had nobody else, and that was the best option. And he didn't give the hit. Like he got an out. Guy got to third, and then you give a sac fly, and that's how it works on extra innings in the road. Clase is not a good extra innings pitcher because of his pitch mix and profile, and you just didn't have any other options to go to. But again, Clase was fine. Gaddis was great. He got 6 outs. Cade Smith looked good. Eric Sabrowski continues to look good. Get the bullpen back in order, and hopefully, next season you feel like the bullpen is going in the right direction, and then we'll go from there. I don't know. But Cantillo, good game. Quan got on base 3 times. Like, that's normally they win when that happens, and they just couldn't get the big hit. And they made a few boneheaded plays on the bases. Did. Kyle Manzardo, I'm not going to blame anybody for that because the ball bounced in the dirt. It was a good read. the ball got stuck in the catcher's mask. Like that's just how it's going for the Guardians this year. It just is.
Yeah, for me, the bigger issue was just looking at Jose, and like he is just
0 for 21
since 0 for 21 since he got fiend with a walk. It's so even when Kwan's getting on base, Manzardo was okay. Like he had the one hit today. You'll take that. But Jose and Lane Thomas were like the only guys who played a full game who did not reach base. The rest.
And then you had Nolan Jones, who his last at bat, he took 2 strikes middle, and then he got the 3rd strike that was on the outside corner. He complained about it. I'm like, dude, you just watched 2 strikes down the middle.
He's still one of the 3 stars because he's the only other person to reach base twice in this game.
Like I said, he's doing enough just to keep his job and not enough to be jettisoned. Like that's just where it is.
You're so negative on him. Like he's doing enough. Like they have Jonathan Rodriguez doing nothing. You've got Angel Martinez, who's a net negative.
Jonathan Rodriguez is not a big leaguer. Like
I know, but I'm just like he's
no place.
I'm not saying Jones is a starter. I'm saying he's fine. Like as your 4th outfielder, he is acceptable and usable. He's fine. I'm not saying he's got to be great. I'm saying as a 4th outfielder, he can cover 3 spots. He can run a little. Yeah. He's got a strong arm. He's fine.
I just wish DeLauder or Kefas was right-handed, but they're not. And Kefas got hurt on Thursday night. So we'll talk more about Kefas. We'll talk more about Cooper Ingle. We'll talk more about Parker Mesa coming up here in the 3rd segment on how we want the Guardians to finish out this second half of the season.
Today's episode is brought to you by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build and practicing every detail to get the best results. Just don't tell the Guardians. I don't think they're doing that right now. They're definitely not practicing to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the All-Stars are the hard-working manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices. Epicor ERP solutions are created by industry experts to help make every day easier. Seeing your whole supply chain easier. Managing logistics easier. Responding to price changes easier. From small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprise with a global vision, we'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most of every hardworking minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier finds the lane. Discover your success at www.easierwithepicor.com. That's www.easierwithepicor.com.
Yeah, don't tell the Guardians about everybody's working hard. I'm sure they're working hard, but I know the value of working hard. All right, so Joey Cantillo is up. I'd imagine Joey Cantillo probably sticks in the rotation for the time being. I don't see why you would change from that. He only should get, I think, maybe two more starts before the season, before the season's over, the All-Star break, I should say. So I guess you stick with Cantillo for now. The real question, though, is, I mean, I don't know how you feel, Jeff. I feel that the season is washed away. Like
I'm not gonna. No, I don't. I hate that point of view. It's like there's always things of value. I mean, they're in a crap situation. Now they're probably gonna make the playoffs. No, but there's still value in the season.
No. I'm just saying, as far as the playoffs are concerned.
I mean, I would say there's like a 10% chance at playoffs because it's baseball. It's weird, as we saw at the Tigers a year ago. And
anything can happen. Yeah,
anything can happen. But yeah, I mean, it's. I'm saying 10% chance of making it, but I think there's a lot of value yet in what we can figure out.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's not. Yeah, the season's not over from a chance of like not figuring things out. But in terms of playoffs, the odds are very low at this point.
Yes, I have no idea what they are.
I guess there is a world where
that's my line.
I know. There is a world, though, where Clase, Gaddis, Smith, and Herron and Sabrowski, all get it together as far as the bullpen's concerned, and they are pretty good in the second half, maybe somewhere close to what they were last year, a little better than they have been lately. Maybe Paul Sewald comes back. I was going to say, I don't know if you can trade Paul Sewald. Like, Paul Sewald should be back within the next, series or so. Maybe he pitches good and somebody wants him, but you're not going to get much for him anyway because he's been hurt all year. So I don't know if you want to. I mean, I would trade him anyway if you're not going to be in the race because he's older and you're paying him a decent chunk of change. I would just
because that's what a poverty franchise has to do. They can't afford to pay him. I'm kidding.
There's no point in paying him.
No, I agree. There's no point in paying him, especially
some people commented yes, Enright should be up.
Yeah.
Alaman's been struggling, but he's been better his last 2 outings. I maybe want to see what he can do for you, or put Nikhazy in the bullpen. I don't know. Or get Jake Miller to Columbus. Maybe Jake Miller makes a late season.
That's why
appearance.
I was going to say that. You beat me to it. It's like,
yeah.
But once you move up Enright, then you got a clear shot for Miller. And we've talked about Miller he's not just a really interesting relief prospect, but he's got to be 40 man added. Him and we'll have
he'll
to start
go in the Rule 5 if you don't.
Yeah, it's like Miller and Messick, and we got a few other guys we'll have to start talking about it. The 40 man guys.
So
Peterson, right? Yeah, all those guys.
Yeah, Peterson too. So yeah, I think you'll see Cantillo depending on how long this goes with Ortiz, whether he's continues to be suspended or whatever happens, or he's banned, whatever happens. You'll see Cantillo. I think this gives you a chance to see Parker Messick now. Like I wanted to see him with Luis Ortiz.
I still don't think we will, just because you got to still figure out Bieber and Means.
Yeah, you know what? I forgot about John Means. Yeah, absolutely. I forgot about John Means.
And they got that really cheap club option, so they gotta get
John. Yeah, John Means for sure is going to be here next year. Especially if Ortiz is in trouble. John Means, that becomes a more important signing than I thought.
Yeah, he's actually part of 26 at this point. Yeah. I would say,
and I think we both agree. I know some people are like trade Bieber, but we said a few weeks ago that they can't trade Bieber because of the setback to his rehab, and he hasn't come back yet. They're not going to get. I mean, it is going to be a shallow trade market, so there's always a chance that somebody, if they see like 3 starts they like, and they're like, you know what, let's give a chance.
Is there any chance he even has 3 starts?
Yeah, you're right. It could be 2. It could be 2 starts. I mean, unless the only thing I could think of is maybe somebody else pulls an Alex Cobb, and they say, well, we'll take a chance on him, and you get a Jacob Bresnahan, as it were, who, by the way, was the pitcher of the month in the California League.
I'd still rather have a first than someone's day 3 pick from a year ago.
Yeah, because I agree with that, because you're going to get, like you said, maybe you're lucky you get 3 starts out of Bieber. It's probably more like 2. I think that if you allow him to pitch through a second half with you, and he pitches well, there's more of a chance that he'll be worth a qualifying offer, turn it down, and you get the first round pick rather than Jacob Bresnahan or Nate Furman as they got for Alex Cobb. So I don't think Bieber goes anywhere. I'm still not listening on Clase A in season unless somebody pays a crazy amount, which is not going to happen. Like and let's say everyone's like, "Oh, trade Clase A, just do it, guys." The Indians traded for Andrew Miller. They gave up nothing. I was very upset about trading Clint Frazier at the time. The Yankees got nothing. Clint Frazier did nothing for them outside of a few weeks. Justice Sheffield was a lost cause. They didn't. Ben Heller couldn't stay healthy. JP Feyereisen has not had
the best player,
and not even with the Yankees. No. So like you're sitting there saying like, "Oh, trade Clase A, guys." You're not getting a major league hitter for Clase A.
And if you look at last year, right? Like I know I had someone be like, "Well, they weren't closers." It doesn't matter. Relief. It's about are they a good reliever? That's all that really matters. Like Clase A, Jason Adams is an excellent reliever. He netted one interesting prospect in Dylan Lesko, who's been a complete poop show, and then 2 other high A prospecus. The other guy,
Lesko's like what 3 years away from being a year or 2 away. So
I mean, he's not even. And then the other guy is Lucas Ursig, who netted 1 AA pitcher, who's an interesting guy in Barnett. But the secondary piece isn't anyone. But at least it was a AA player who could help Oakland. And that was a guy with 4 years of control, 5 years of control. He had actually more control than Clase A had because of when they traded him. Now, Clase A is better than Ursig, don't get me wrong, but it still shows where that market is. Like and he's
not cheap. I will say he's on a very, very reasonable deal.
Yeah.
But for the Guardian, it's twofold. We said this a couple weeks ago, Jeff. You said this. A, you're not going to get the kind of offer for Clase A that makes sense. You can do it in the offseason maybe when you're in a different spot, but you trade Clase A, you move Cade Smith into the closer's role, and guess what? He gets more expensive. You don't have him locked up to a deal. That's a double gut punch to this team in terms of future planning, and that's what this team's all about, is future planning. They want to continue to have a flexible future. That's where they feel like they operate best. I know it hasn't worked. Someone's going to say that's stupid. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that's how the team thinks. And I want to say that too, like on this show especially, is we do give you our opinions, and nothing's fake here. We all give you our real opinions, whether you think they're positive or negative. But most of the time, I think what we try to do is we try to give people who are listening an idea of what the franchise thinks and what they're doing. We're just trying to give an explanation. And this franchise likes to think long term, and that's why Chase Lauder is not up. It's why CJ Kayfus is not up. I had someone and on Twitter today. It's like, call up Cooper Ingle. Cooper Ingle was 4 for 4, 2 doubles and 2 homers, coming back from a testicle contusion the last week. So good for him. But you don't bring up a prospect that's not ready because not working at the major league level, because you're still trying to do what's best for that prospect, because that's how you're going to get the most value out of that player, not by rushing them. You don't want to pull a Brandon Phillips. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
There were a lot of tiers to that. But
I will say, can I make one trade prediction? If they do go full sell, that Santana will end up in Seattle. It
100%.
It will make him happy. They still have a need there. Cleveland has a higher WRC plus in Seattle.
And he got offers from them in the offseason.
And he's friends with Julio, and he played there before. So they have a decent pool of. I mean, heck, I was looking at their MLB top prospect list. They got currently Ryan Sloan listed as their 9th best prospect. Now you're not getting Sloan for him, but it's a deep pool when you got him at 9.
It's a good farm system, yeah.
It is. So that's.
I don't think you're getting Tarantula Saintja, but yeah.
No, you're not.
He's had a good year anyway.
No, but I'd have to really dig in and see. More.
Yeah, I would say if they're out of this, which they are out of it.
Yeah.
You trade Santana. You're not. Someone commented trading Festa and Junis. Nobody wants Festa and Junis. No one's going to want Seawald, probably. Maybe someone picks him up for a bag of balls. I don't know if he could trade Lane Thomas, but
I don't know, because here's the thing: he's actually playing well. I know people argue with me when I say that. It's like he's not. He didn't reach base today, but at 10 out of 12 games, he's reached base, and
yeah, we'll see what happens over the next 4 weeks. The point with Lane Thomas is you're not going to give him a qualifying offer, but you're also not going to get back for him what you gave up. This in theory, this should be a seller's market though, because there's not a lot of teams who are selling. The Guardians are falling into that market, so maybe they can capitalize. So and in the second half, you have to have Cantillo in the second half. You have to have maybe Nikhazy. You have to have Nick Enright. Hopefully Jake Miller maybe at some point if things go well in Columbus. It's hard to get acclimated there. You have to get Chase DeLauder up. You have to get Juan Brito up. Kafis, who did get hurt on Thursday. We'll see what happens. He ran into another player.
Yeah, I don't know if honestly he may not be, because they're only going to want to put in so many young players. Like that's just, we know that approach, and he's not a guy that they have to add sooner than later. So
yeah, I don't think they're going to add Peterson this year. I don't think we're going to see Peterson.
They have to add him at the end of the year.
They do, but I don't know if he's quite. I don't know. Like he's older. I guess I would give him a shot, but
yeah, I mean we'll see. Right. They're going to add a lot of guys. I'll say this before we go, just to give an idea of the Lane Thomas market. There are only 10 teams in baseball who have a WRC plus over 100 at center field. That's how bad that position is across the league.
Yeah. If he plays well in the next month, you can get something for him. It just won't be as much as you gave up, and
which makes sense. I mean, a year and a half versus half a year. That's
an injured half a year at that. Yeah. All right, we'll talk Guardians Tigers next week. Mercifully, we'll talk about the final week of the first half coming up. We'll do some more draft talk, obviously, because we've got to get to the other demographics: college hitters, high school players.
10 days when this debuts. 9 days to the draft.
9 days to the draft, so we'll have to do that, and we'll have to get into some ownership talk, some front office and coach talk.
Thank you for joining us, and go Guardians, go.